Welcome everyone to the first interview for New Friend Plus. For a long time, New Friend Plus has been my way to just kind of find new cool stuff and say, hey, this push it out into the world. Say, hey, check out this awesome thing that I found. And one of the latest awesome things that I found is a game called Of Love and Eternity, made by our friend here, AcornBringer. His name is Winston Powell. So welcome, Winston. Welcome to New Friend
Thank
Plus.
you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. It was
Yeah, of
a treat
course.
to get a message from you earlier and
Oh,
check out your
great.
YouTube. I hadn't seen it before, but it was really nice. I was thankful that it was just a very well-rounded, wholesome, like let's share cool things type of YouTube channel, which
Awesome.
is
Well,
great.
thank you
I love
so
to support
much.
that. I love to interact with those types of creators. So yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to meet you too. Yeah, so I think immediately right off the bat, well, one of the things that I did with your game is I posted a TikTok about it, and it just kind of blew up a little bit.
Oh,
People
really?
were saying like, "Oh my God, I need this in my life right now." So
Shame
yeah,
I
that
don't
was
have
kind of the
TikTok.
inspiration. Yeah, that was the
I've
inspiration
got
of
all the other
like,
social media.
well, there it is. Yeah, you got a lot of fans on TikTok who are in love with the
Huh.
game, and of course, it
Okay.
comes from that inspiration. I don't know if you've seen those kind of dark fantasy TikToks where it's that AI look, of course,
Yeah.
and people are saying,
I've
"Man,
seen
I
those
wish
come
this was
through
something
on
real."
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of
Yeah, people
inspirations?
like to they like to do those like throwback things like what if this but from the 90s or whatever. And so I definitely see
Yes.
like kind of the
Yeah.
tail end of those on Instagram that make their way over for sure.
Yeah. Those kind of like demake, like the Bloodborne demake. They made it in kind of that
Yep.
PS1 style, and yeah. So what kind
Hmm.
of inspirations did you pull from for Of Love and Eternity?
Yeah, it was just that. It was, I mean, I grew up through the 90s. I had a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, very formulative experiences playing through like a lot of horror games on those systems. So like whether you're old enough or not, you're gonna get like the demo for Resident Evil 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna you're just gonna be exposed to that. Not all the parents are up to snuff on what the ratings mean. So like I was exposed to a lot of horror games, and uh, to be honest, on those consoles, like a lot of games are just scary, even if they're not meant to be horror games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you grew up with this kind of vibe with those systems, and yeah, the game draws direct inspiration from those systems there, especially PS2 specifically because I spent more time with that one.
Okay.
But yeah, directly inspired by those, and it's just something about. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that, just that cozy kind of that retro throwback look, the crunchy pixels, things are kind
Yeah.
of obfuscated in the background. You're not quite sure what you're looking at, and
Right. Things are becoming
yeah, I
so
don't know. I just
clean now with graphics that it almost like it's
oh,
just kind of nostalgic to go
people are
back
yeah,
to imperfection to a
people
degree.
are getting very filmic with the way they're
Yeah.
even the Resident Evil games are very filmic is what they're going for, hyper realism, and that kind of disenchants a lot of what I love about horror, which is the stuff you can't see, the stuff you can't understand. And
Right.
so a lot of that was kind of the inspiration for the reason why it's just pixelated like that is because I wanted it to be unclear what you're looking at. If you're looking at a
Right.
wall, even, are you going to
Yeah.
be wondering is that rust on the wall, or is that blood, or are those tentacles? Like I don't know. It creeps me out. My mind is now filling in the blanks, and I think that's important for
Yeah.
horror. So yeah, I
Well,
think it's
I've done a
that's
poor
why we see a
job.
lot of those horror games now are like they're with that retro look.
Right. Yeah. I've done a poor job of kind of introducing your game. Of Love and Eternity
Oh,
is a stylistic horror game, and my interpretation of what I'm seeing about it is that it's a game about loss, betrayal, and searching for your loved one, your true love, throughout these like swamps and hollows of the afterlife. It's kind of
mhm.
this like cosmic journey, and then this dark underground. You start off in these catacombs, and you're surrounded by skull. Or once the intro is passed in the demo. So yeah, did you pull inspirations for that kind of darkness from any books or movies or other games?
Yeah, you flatter me by assuming I read at all, but no, it's definitely books and video games inspire, or sorry, movies and video games. No books involved at all.
Okay, yeah.
um, It's funny, actually, just speaking of the demo, if anyone wants to play the demo, they'll play through just basically the opening of the game, or exactly the opening of the game. And I recently went back, not recently, like last year, I guess. That's recently for me anyway. I went back and played through Maximo, Ghost to Glory, I think it's called. It's the first, it's a PS2. It's based off of Ghosts and Ghouls. It's like the
Okay.
spiritual successor. And I was like, oh no, it's the same. Like the intro is the same.
Huh.
Where like
Yeah.
the guy comes through the double doors, like a knight in shining armor comes through the double doors. There's a princess and a king standing right next to each other. And then you meet like death and kind of the afterlife. He's even floating through an abyss. And so I was like, oh, it's so similar. And it seems like that was just kind of like embedded in my subconscious, and it just acted itself out in the intro of this game. It just seemed kind of like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the, I mean, games is definitely the biggest inspiration for this one. And that's why it's sort of in a meta kind of way, like derived from those kind of classic horror games and older games. It's a very game, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the big inspiration.
It is very
Just
cinematic in the way that you have kind of animated the cutscenes and the like you mentioned him crashing through those double doors, and you have him. You see, you know, this king figure stab the knight's true love,
Right.
is what I'm picking up. And he doesn't immediately fight the king. He has this very human moment of, I don't care. That I want to see my loved one and hold them. And that is ultimately the impetus of the whole story is this kind of, he goes to hug his loved one and lets his guard
the
down.
way I mapped it out, like I wrote that scene in a little short story when I first thought of this scenario.
Yeah.
And like, despite like visualizing it while I'm writing, like the king is there. Like I wanted that embrace, that moment of embrace between the two as she's dying. But when I'm writing the book, like, or writing the like little short story I made, the king is just floating there, like logically, because he was in the scene.
Sure.
But I don't see him. So when I made it in 3D, there's just a king standing there, and it's a bit awkward, honestly. It's like, to be fair, the reaction from a person in that situation, God forbid that ever happens to anyone. I couldn't speak to that. Like, I don't know what that's like. But it does have a little bit of a subversion especially for gamers who are used to like enter room, kill enemies.
Yes.
To instead be like, no, drop my sword, and hold this person that's dying, who is like your true love or whatever, in the last moments, like kind of having some sort of interaction there, and then being distracted. And so there's something kind of romantic about that, just the way that ended up.
The self-sacrifice of not leaving them alone in that final moment.
And like, who's to say how you'd react in that situation? I imagined kind of a tunnel vision or something.
Yeah.
A lot of people call it out, like, it's so unrealistic. Why didn't he do this? Like, why doesn't he attack the king or whatever?
It feels integral to the who the character is. Like you've given us a snapshot of who this person is and why we automatically like them, because they didn't walk into the room and immediately choose violence. They walked into the room and chose compassion and love, and that's the kind of the driving force of, we're like, oh, I love this person now. Like, let's see kind of where his journey goes.
Yeah. And because it took time to make that animation. It's not like I accidentally, like, I was like, oh, whoops, the king is still there, so I'm just going to do a curve here and he's just not going to interact with the king at all. Like, it came to mind, this kind of like, it's sort of a subversive scene, and like, it does make you think, it makes your brain go down all these paths, like how he's feeling, the passion. He throws his sword to the side, which is kind of significant. Just like metaphorically.
And you have that hard clinking across the stone floor.
Yeah. And it definitely came into its own as I was developing it. It probably took several weeks to complete that scene, you know, just to animate, like a couple weeks at least. I actually storyboarded this stuff too, now that I remember. This is years ago that I started this. It's funny to dig up these old memories, but so there was a storyboard now that I'm thinking about it. So it ended up being just part of the character. Even throughout like the gameplay, he takes on a more kind of gentle approach, and like, partly because I don't want to do sword fighting mechanics. At the time I didn't know how to do it. And then also because it's cool for a character who like is part of this kind of threatening world to take a more passive approach to things. Obviously, you can still punch stuff, but
Right.
like picking up a sword isn't going to happen. I mean, actually, there was a potential for like a sword interaction there at the end, but like I just finished that scene and there is no sword.
Okay.
So I'll tell you
I,
I'll tell you now there's no sword happening. So yeah, it
subverting
feels significant, and you can
expectations.
kind of develop that. Yeah, you can develop that like that idea for
Yeah,
telling your own like story, as because I'm not going to explain everything to you
sure.
during the game. It's going to be something that the player develops on their own. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
Do
came
you,
out kind of interesting that way.
have you storyboarded the entire? Do you have all the story kind of laid out?
Yeah, I actually have all the final cutscenes animated actually. So those were
Okay.
storyboarded a little while ago. Uh, the ending is finished. Like there's a cutscene at the end that's I actually have in the game that's decorated. The scene is decorated, lighting and everything. Just nothing has audio. And
Okay.
there's a couple bookend cutscenes that are done there too. Most of them had storyboards, and that was just because when you're in animation software, it's like to try to just make it up as you go is kind of impossible. So
Right.
it really helped to have this shot list. Also because I do have multiple camera angles. I want to be able to visualize like where those cameras are going to be, and if I really need to animate this character's cape while he's not on screen, you know. So it helps
Yeah.
cut corners that way. So I think if you ever want to do an animation, you go about it like in the cinematic movie way, where you want a shot list first or a storyboard. At
Right.
least from my experience, I think that's probably recommended. Just
Yeah.
speeds things along by a lot.
Sure. Yeah. You're not going back and thinking, oh, you know what? I have a better idea for what this looks like because you're already formulating that process ahead of time. But it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like you're
you sort of
starting these processes from scratch. You know, kind of the correct
yeah.
processes. Is this part of your career?
Yeah, I remember this process, this like pipeline for storyboarding cutscenes started when I got work for a Cartoon Network game called Adventure Time Time Tangle. It's a mobile game that doesn't exist anymore. And that had some cutscenes in it, and I storyboarded those out. And that helped a lot because when you're actually in the software animating, it already takes so much time to like actually change anything. If something doesn't look right, it just would be a waste.
Yeah.
So you want to have
Yeah.
it premeditated on paper, and then just go through the steps as in a concise way, because otherwise it would be awful. So I
Man,
found that it helps to do storyboards.
yeah, that's awesome. Were you an Adventure Time fan when you got to
Oh
storyboard
yeah,
cutscenes for that's awesome.
yeah.
But did
No,
you have to get
it
them
was me and a
approved?
friend. Well, I was just out of college. I was working at a like little mobile game studio that me and a friend started. And then someone, an alumni of that same school, was walking around like, "Hey, do you know anyone who's interested in Adventure Time?" Just asking other people, and everyone was like, "That guy," like pointed to me. I was a
Yeah.
huge Adventure Time fan. Still am. I don't keep up with it or anything. Like I stopped watching kind of before, like around that time, because I got sick of it at the time. But so I stopped. I jumped off the train. But yeah, anyway, so he approached me and was like, "Do you want to work on an Adventure Time game with me?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And it was a 3-man team. It was me doing all the art, him doing the programming, and then a friend of his doing the music. And that was all backed by Cartoon Network games, which was awesome. I don't know if it's still doing games now. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, that was just a really cool experience, and it needed cutscenes. It had voice acting and stuff too, and so because of all that, like there was going to be actors. I wanted to make sure it was all planned out in a
Right.
nice way there. So yeah, that's where that started. That was the first time I did that outside of actually making like movies for high school, like
Okay.
DV production sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was wondering about because you have this mix of game development knowledge, and then you're also doing you're doing the storyboarding, you're doing the YouTube channel, you have clearly a
Oh,
lot of different avenues that you're touching. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all to hear that you have some of that game development experience. Is the company with your friend still around in existence?
I think the first company, I don't really keep in touch with that guy anymore. There was a bit of a falling out there, unfortunately. The other one, who I worked on the Adventure Time game with, Twin Sky Games, Tim Winsky is a very creative game developer. I imagine he's still making games now. Don't really talk to him much either, but he's not on social media or anything like that.
Okay.
He's a bit more older than I am, so I think he might have missed that train there.
Gotcha. He's one of the people
So
in the
I imagine
background
if you look
just
up Twin
making
Sky
magic happen.
Games,
Okay, yeah, I'll have
yeah,
to
he's great.
take a
It
look.
was refreshing working with him. He was just like, I would give him animations and assets and stuff, and he would not only just implement them, but he would add a lot of like juicy animation and like
Okay,
feedback and just good polish and stuff to it. So I would see my stuff in such a nice light. Whereas like in a lot of other games, it was very amateurish, where you just barely get the stuff working in the engine. You know, we
right.
were all young back then anyway, so not really a lot you can do there. But it was just a refreshing experience working with him. So, and then working on mobile games in general, I didn't really love that. So I moved away from that pretty quick after that project.
Right.
So
Do you still have the files for that Adventure Time game? That's lost content, lost
yeah, I
media
have.
at this point.
Yeah, no, I've got all the files. In fact, I think I remember seeing like someone did a big asset dump on like one of those asset sharing websites where they like cracked the game somehow and they
Yeah,
just like pulled all the models out. I can't remember what the website's called, but like I saw all the models up on that,
that's got
which
to be
was
kind of
sort
cool
of
to see that.
flattering.
Yeah, that somebody is
Yeah.
taking hours of their time to go through and do that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean they don't belong to me technically, so they're stealing from Cartoon Network, which fine. So I'll just say that I'm flattered that they wanted to
Yes,
pick
yeah,
apart that stuff, and maybe they did it for like a learning experience or whatever,
yeah,
just to have, because people like Adventure Time. They want to see little low poly Adventure Time characters there on their computer.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's all mentioned on your Instagram that had it not been for Unity's Playmaker, that maybe of
Oh
Eternity might not have come around. So, what's your
yeah,
experience with Playmaker?
Playmaker. I lived in Arizona for a long time, and I had a girlfriend who moved back. She was from Brazil. She moved back to be with her parents there. So I was like just alone and sad, and so I moved back to Massachusetts. And while I was here, I was getting in touch with my game developer friend from high school, and he was showing me around like, oh, we can go to PAX and let's do all this stuff together. IndieCade, or what do they call it? The Indie Mega Booth or whatever that's at PAX, or was at PAX.
Right.
And so he was kind of exposing me to a lot of developers from this area and the Boston area. And I guess I was just talking to one of them, and he was just like, "Oh, you should check out Playmaker." I was like, "Oh, what's that?" It's this thing you don't need to know how to program, and you can make a game. And I was like, "That sounds great." And so I looked it up, and I just went for it just to try it. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like getting the hang of it, and it feels like empowering, and like I'm able to do all this stuff that I would otherwise need to depend on other people for, or
Right.
have to like really invest a lot of time in learning programming." Which I wouldn't discourage. I still think learning to program is great, and you should.
Right.
It just didn't happen for me, and I don't know. I won't say that I couldn't do it, because I feel like I don't want to discourage myself, but like I don't want to. So,
It's a
and Playmaker
language
kind
just
of,
like any other, and
yeah,
it's a lot to learn. So yeah,
yeah.
at a certain point, you
Anyway,
want to
so
be
I
able to
spent a lot
have
of
like a
time
good
learning that.
yield if you're going to spend that much time learning something.
Yeah, that's the discouraging part, is like you're gonna spend a couple years doing just like lame stuff, just learning.
Yeah,
That process of learning,
yeah,
and that's tough for someone who, like, I had already had several years game development experience. I didn't want to just kind of start in the shallow end. I wanted to start making stuff. So it was cool to know that there was a tool that gave me access to all these features in Unity. And yeah, I still use it to this day. It's like a really cool. It just does anything I really wanted to do. And I think there's a certain point where like you'd be better off doing programming. But I feel like a lot of the stuff I ever need to do with, just programming a game, you can do it in Playmaker. And it's super cool. I have that video. I think that the Instagram post you were talking about was me saying that video is live on my YouTube channel now. It was just for patrons for a while.
okay,
But yeah, if you wanted to hear more about that,
yeah,
I give my thoughts on, and I kind of show around on my YouTube channel, like Playmaker itself, and just talk about how cool it is and stuff. So if you're
yeah.
interested in that, that's the latest video that's up there.
I am super interested in that. Playmaker. I didn't know Playmaker existed. I'm the same way, where I have thought about learning to code because I have a creative mind and want to kind of tell stories just like you are. And I didn't know that a program existed where you didn't have to know how to program to be able to make a game. So that's good to know. On the
Yeah. In
opposite
fact,
side, sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
Real quick, I just want to say Unity itself has its own visual scripter built in. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a similar, it's like an adjacent thing. So there's other options aside from just Playmaker out there, if Playmaker is not to people's taste. But yeah, Playmaker is the one I chose. So it's a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. On the other side of that same coin, had you already started work on Of Love and Eternity when Unity decided that they were going to charge people for?
Oh, when they
downloads?
had that whole kerfuffle, you mean?
Yeah.
With the, yeah.
That
I can't quite remember
ill-advised-
the details on that. That was just the CEO making some funny movements, and I believe he's been fired since, and they kind of double back on all that stuff.
Yes,
which is great.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, that was long before. Like, to give you an example, the version of Unity I have is from like 2017 or something.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like I'm still using this old, because that's the caveat of like not being like programmer minded, is I don't have a good like. I'm not confident that I could upgrade my Unity and not be able to fix anything. And also being dependent on a plugin, an older version of a plugin, nonetheless, means if I do upgrade and I can still fix my game, the plugin might not work and I'd have to upgrade the plugin. There's this whole back and forth. So like I'm using Unity 5 point whatever. Still, like it's the same one I started developing on back in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of like, all that stuff kind of went over my head or under my bridge or whatever you want to say, because I was just like, they're not doing it with this version because they can't really touch this version. This is all built on like older, like whatever. So,
but it's good.
Thankfully, I was kind of stress free that whole time, except for, I felt bad for other developers and Unity itself. Like they took a huge blow, unfortunately, with like the favor of people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering at that time kind of how developers were feeling about that whole thing. And of course you saw a lot of the discourse online of like, this is so idiotic.
Yeah, very discouraging. Very discouraging. Just like, it's a sign of like people who develop software really want to take control over things now. Like even especially Microsoft, with all the features they're adding into Windows 11 to make it like, you've got to, they're keeping track of everything. They're using AI stuff to track and collect data and blah, blah, blah. And the CEO at the time of Unity wanted to do that stuff with their games. Like they wanted to keep track of stuff like that and like charge people or whatever.
Right.
Really invasive and creepy. Like you want kind of, at least like my generation, they want an experience with games that's like the ideal thing is kind of what GOG is doing, where you download the game and it's yours, and you have this thing you can put on a flash drive and you can put it on your other computer and it's just your little executable you can play anywhere. But the further we move into the future, the more games as a service we have, the more connected we are to servers when we play games, the less ownership we have over our own games.
Right. Yeah.
So at least my generation is like really romanticizing that. And I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of the ideal, like, when you make a game, like an indie game, you want it to have that kind of transferability. It's not connected to anything. It's just like, you paid for it. It's your little digital item that you have. Yeah.
And solo devs like you are really just kind of rising out of they're coming out of nowhere. You got Blatro and of course Stardew, which Stardew had a few other teammates, but you do have these solo developers coming out that make these colossal successes.
I mean, it's easier than ever to like make games now. So people are just like, you get stories where it's like this 12-year-old just made $4 million off their like little mobile game, because it's just so accessible now. Like to make a game, you just download Blender, you download Unity, they're both free to get started, and you go on YouTube and look a bunch of videos up for tutorials and you have yourself a game. With all the free time kids have, like they're the best candidate to make a game themselves. Also, all the assets that are out there's a lot of free assets. Just things are so accessible to make games now. If anyone has an interest in it, they can just jump right in. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of solo devs in particular, a lot of younger devs. Their games are finally coming to bear fruit. Right. We're seeing these amazing indie games coming out. It has been happening for a while. I feel like game development, I think Unity has always made game development very accessible, and Blender has always been there for a good long time. So yeah, it's been there, just taking different forms. But now I think people are just like, they're getting hold of these crazy like pro level tools. Like Blender is, you can make movies with it, you know, you can make like high fidelity whatever you want with it.
Right.
And so you get solo devs releasing games that look like, you know, they look like AAA games.
Right. Yeah.
But with like more, you know, with that indie grime to it that like gives it that flavor, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
The indies are so great at making.
People are losing faith in some of those bigger developers. I was just thinking a lot about the free skate that came out, and of course EA just crapped the bed on that entire release, which nobody's surprised.
What'd they do? What happened?
It's just not.
I haven't heard about this.
It's broken. It's a so EA. First of all, no company like EA should ever release a game into early access, is my kind of firm point of view.
Oh, it released in early access.
Yes, yeah, for free. And so it's a free live service game, you know, which they want to say is a gift to all of us, but it's not. It's a broken mess. It took them 5 years to make, and it's just kind of incomplete for this multi-billion-dollar organization to have put that much effort into across that amount of time to build up hype, and then it's not a complete project.
I remember hearing about a skate project years and years ago, and it was in that capacity of like EA was like, okay, you guys, we'll give you a little bit of money, you guys do your little YouTube channel, and like it's like a niche thing, we're not going to invest in it because skate is like a franchise that we basically ran dry years ago. And so I got the impression that they're giving this team that wanted to make a new skate game the like kind of like, I don't know how you'd put this, but like when a publisher kind of just funds, I don't want to, I'm like dancing around being rude, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to like use the wrong language.
It's a
but like
passion project of like, they really love skate, so they pushed it through kind of thing.
Someone pushed it to, and EA was like, okay, you guys, you're not going to get like FIFA money for it.
Sure.
But we'll give you this funding, but it's going to be like in some ways crowd funded or like crowd supported. Kind of like how Ubisoft did the, what's that evil game with the pig in it? What's that game
Beyond
called?
Good and Evil?
Beyond Good and Evil. Like that was, they're like, okay, you guys can make this game, but it's going to be at the capacity of like an indie game where you guys need to like promote it yourself and you need to get like a Kickstarter and stuff and communities. And that's the capacity I felt like it was going with, at least my impression when I saw the YouTube channel, because they showed stuff that was like, this is obviously broken, but we're working on it. We get that it's not looking good.
Yeah.
And then I guess when come time to actually like release, EA is going to find a way to capitalize it. So they're going to release it as a service type thing, or like they're going to try to do this and that. And so I imagine there was passion behind that project. I mean, like any project, but yeah, it's not getting that like that backbone that a publisher should be giving it, I imagine. That said, though, that's me like just guessing because I haven't actually kept up with it. The people I work with at my day job, younger folks, are loving that game, and I feel like people on social media are loving that game, like for all the goofy antics and stuff. So my impression of it was that it was doing gangbusters. I didn't realize it was broken. From what I'm seeing online, it's struggling in player base. It's been kind of on the downfall, and it's what people are saying is like a flash in the pan sort of thing.
Yeah, that it's such an empty world that there's no reason to stick with it for long term. There's no incentive to do that, which I kind of wonder. Which skate is that what skate is? It's kind of a game where you just jump in, listen to music, and do your thing. That's how I've always played it anyway. But I guess
I played the original. I think I played the first two skates. Just such a like cool vibe. As someone who loves skateboarding and doesn't skateboard, which I'm gonna rectify come spring. Like I want to learn to skateboard, and now that I have a friend nearby that can teach me, I'm gonna try. But as someone who just loves that skate culture and everything, like and the music and everything surrounding it, the first couple skate games really nailed that vibe. This one seems a little more corporate, a little more like the edges are rounded off. You know, not quite so interesting. Like it doesn't have the teeth that you want it to have, like punk kind of grunginess to it.
Yeah.
But it still seems like there's an interesting, like it has the controls there and stuff. Most of the videos I've seen of it though, it looks silly. Like you're flying around and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it looks like Just Cause meets meets kind of like Skate's cousin.
They really
They
did.
went on a date.
They kind of took the Hall of Meat function from the older ones. They took that out completely,
Oh,
but they almost replaced it with this similar function of diving off of buildings and rolling and sliding and stuff like that. So these like off-board kind of tricks, they just don't give you like a score for it when you bail, which
I
is
see.
that's a loss. I would love that, but what can you
It
do?
just seems like a bit of a far cry from like like Skate was always kind of the skate simulator to me, and it was boots on the ground kind of like, if you understand that metaphor. It's just like it doesn't feel like you have a jetpack. Like you're grounded. If you wipe out, you're breaking your wrists or whatever,
Yeah.
or like, and your ollies don't send you to the moon and back. Like you're just,
Exactly.
the camera's low. It's got that fisheye. Oh, a visitor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's my cat Ramona. She has a little heated blanket right here that she sits on the
Oh.
desk next to me when I'm working. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah, the new Skate doesn't really scratch that itch for me. I like stuff that's gritty. I like stuff that's like, you know, it has that like sharpened filter. It looks like an old VHS or whatever, like an
Right.
old skate video.
Yeah.
So
Well, I see.
being able to fly is a bit of a weird one for that franchise, but whatever.
Yeah.
Kids like it. Kids are loving it.
Hopefully, it continues to garner some love, and hopefully, they kind of. I know that their intention is to build out a little bit more, which I think people will, if they stick with it, with kind of similar to Hello Games did with No Man's Sky, and just continue to invest in the happiness of their players. Then I can see it.
Yeah,
kind of
that's expensive.
coming back.
Happiness of players. I just see like money going down the drain.
That CEO, she's good.
For every happy player, we're losing millions.
Cut that CEO bonus a little bit. Invest in your games. You're losing your player base.
Yeah, actually, speaking of EA, that's the Unity CEO. I don't know where he works now, but there's blood there. It was the ex-EA CEO who went to Unity and made everyone frown, and then he got fired.
Those people,
yeah,
EA just can't get it together.
They can't get a break. Yeah.
Well, I see people kind of gushing about your game on a lot of different platforms. So you're on Steam. Is it Itch.io or Itch.io?
What do I say in my head when I read it? I think I say Itch.io.
Okay.
Itch.io.
Steam, Itch.io. You can find yourself on Patreon, Instagram, and you said Blue Sky.
You know what? That's a lie. I say itch. I just say itch. I don't even say the IO part. Let me open my bookmark here. I have a social media bookmark file, which drops down too long. I have Reddit, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Tumblr, and Pinterest. And then the game is on itch and it's on Steam.
What do you feel like has been your most
it's just too many
successful platform for like snowballing interest in the game?
Oh, itch, you said?
Which one? Which platform?
Oh, I see. It was a question. I'd say Twitter, and that's why I can't let it up right now. That's where I have most followers. Notice I'm still calling it Twitter because I just can't like
do the same thing.
Referring to something as X is like X what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Plenty has been said about that silly name, so it's just Twitter. It just makes sense. That's the one I started on. That's the one. If you scroll down, there's the most to scroll back to see. The biggest like timeline of me is on Twitter.
Okay.
I wish that weren't the case though. It's just I have most followers there, but I want to find one that's just better.
Right.
Maybe this is a good opportunity. Can everyone? I'm just assuming that everyone's going to hear this. Can we just go back to Tumblr, please? I know they took like nudie like stuff off of it or whatever for a bit there, but can we just please? They have the best like compression for videos, and it's just cute. It's a little busted right now, but that's just because it doesn't get that ad revenue it used to.
Yeah.
Can we just go back to Tumblr? It's just the best place.
I missed out on Tumblr.
I want to be like just on Tumblr.
I never ended up touching Tumblr, oddly enough. Which I grew up out in the boonies, so I didn't really get internet until I left home, essentially. So I think I missed the big kind of like preteen Tumblr phase of posting stuff.
I'm trying to think what got me on Tumblr. I think it was actually when I was in college I went on Tumblr.
Okay.
And it was like to make silly webcomics.
Oh yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
something. There's a weird side Tumblr that I have, and then I was like, it's cool too. I'll put my art up here, and so that was that. And
So you
I
have a
think now
lot
it's
of
just of
different
love stuff is up there.
kind of creative avenues that you explore.
Yeah, I'm basically the character that you make in an RPG when you first start, who's like just kind of an all-arounder, but good at nothing, like really good at nothing. Just kind of does everything. Like he can cook too, and he's also good at shooting the bow and
Yeah,
whatever, and he cuts a tree down pretty good, but like none of it's his specialty. So that's unfortunately where I wound up being a solo dev. You kind of have to be the jack of all trades, master of none.
yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a master of none. Maybe I can master something. Maybe I'm just mastering charisma or something. Like, I don't know.
I think that's a
I should
benefit.
focus on one of them, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just in starting my YouTube channel, I know that my ADHD has just really helped in terms of me finding a fascination with some aspect of it and diving into it.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of ADHD, I feel like I've now developed ADHD, having all these different things going on.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've got a day job, I've got game development, I've got a YouTube channel, social media, Patreon.
yeah. So is your day
I
job
feel like I've
isn't
gotten that like scatterbrain.
is your day job outside
Sorry, say
of
that again.
game development?
Yeah, I when I moved back to the U.S., for those who don't know, I lived in Brazil for 7 years. I was married there to my previous ex-wife. So we broke up, and then when I came back here, I didn't have like a foundation to live off of, so I stayed with my dad for a while. So I had to get a real job because it's cheap to live in Brazil if you have a little bit of income from the U.S.
Okay.
Like I had a Patreon, and it wasn't huge, and I was living off of that in Brazil. So come here, especially like Massachusetts. I don't know what state you're in. Massachusetts is very expensive. Especially if you ever want to take a day trip to New York, you're like going to lose $200 in a day.
Yeah.
So I had to get a day job, which like, I don't know. I ended that sentence on like a decline. I feel like it shouldn't be a negative thing. I feel like having a day job should be a positive thing. Like I'm thankful to have such a great job. It's at a brother-in-law's establishment. It's a restaurant, which is like kind of a nepo hire, like a nepotism hire, which I'm thankful for.
Hey.
I get tips. It's great work. I get to see a bunch of people every day. And I generally grew to love making food for other people.
Okay.
Like I used to not like that part of it. Like people are like, I love cooking. I like providing food for people. I don't understand that. But now I kind of get it. Like I like making something and knowing someone's going to enjoy this later.
Yeah.
So I've grown to love that part of it.
Yeah, I feel that. I love cooking food if I don't have to wash the dishes for it. That is
Oh yeah.
not good at it.
When you work in an industrial kitchen, it's fun to wash the dishes because they give you like a power hose thing, which is just kind of cool. So that's fun. And like as a game dev solo, like you don't get to interact with a lot of different people daily, so you get kind of sheltered or hermit crabbed. So a lot of the benefit of working a day job is just exposure to other people and getting to chat with cool people and meeting and working with other people. So that was part of it for a while. Definitely when I first started, my first job wasn't this restaurant. It was at like a convenience store, which I had to really dig deep to find meaning in that. like I'm an artist. I shouldn't be like asking if you want paper or plastic, But I had to approach it in like
in our lives.
You've been there.
My first job was my first job was at Chick-fil-A, but I only worked there for 2 months because I hated it.
Okay.
Then I went to work at a Subway that was at a gas station. So it was kind of the same thing of like,
but best of both worlds.
It's a little unfulfilling. Yeah, you're cleaning down the gas station bathrooms and wondering how do I get out of this? How do I move to a different career?
It is humbling. The way I kind of stuck it through mentally was like, I'm a big Yakuza fan.
Okay.
I love the main character, the lead of Yakuza, and I love how he approaches mundane things with such a like earnest curiosity.
Yeah.
And like always learning sort of mentality. And so I approached this like stocking the shelves thing with that kind of mentality. Because if there's any video game character I look up to, it's him from the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he's a crime boss or whatever. He's like a crime guy.
I haven't played the games, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts about them, and it sounds like he has integrity. Like he's a character that you can look up to.
He's a little golden boy walking around there, like, but is also just kind of like a jarhead sort of because he's gonna punch a guy when he gets mad. He's gonna get physical.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, when you're doing side quests and like a little kid is like, oh, my prize grabber machine thing got stuck, I need help. He'll like do it, and then there'll be like a lesson at the end, and it's just so endearing and charming. I have like a mini crush on that character. And so when I did that job, which was essentially like a gas station convenience store job,
Sure.
I took every task as like, this is a learning opportunity instead of you know, being discouraged.
Something to find.
And looking, I think anything like that, if you look at it, if you go about it that way, you're just going to be, I think you'll grow a little more. And so I think that's how I survived, because it was, to be frank, I've met some of the worst people there, you know, like some of the clientele that come through there are just some of the worst people, and some of the smelliest as well, it might add. So you need to have a different perspective shift to do that. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love the job I'm at now, which I'm thankful for. And I work nights so I can work on my stuff during the day. Nice balance there. So
that's good. And it leaves you with
top, I think.
enough energy to kind of delve into your project. Are you planning on
not enough energy for social media posting? That no one has enough energy to do that, to keep up with social media, but enough energy to develop a game for sure. Yeah.
What I've really struggled with personally is like latching onto Twitter and stuff like that, and having that in your head constantly of like, I've got to post so many times this day on, you know, this platform, and trying to keep all that in your head it's a mountain of work to do. It's a full-time job on its own.
It says a lot when your friend is like having a Zen yoga moment and just stops, and the key point of it is stopping social media interaction. Like, it says a lot about what social media does to our mentality. Yeah. When my yoga friend is like, I need this for my soul to be better. I need to stop doing this for my spirit to be more balanced or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I post once in a while. Now, I used to post weekly or even multiple times a week. I used to post content, baby, on Twitter all the time. And it was great. Like, I was getting so many followers and stuff. It was awesome. But like, now I post maybe once or twice a month, and I freaking hate it so much. I get so mad at like some social media sites are just so busted. You're like, how is this the most popular website online right now so busted? Like, why can't I make a draft of a video on Reddit? You know, like, why can't I do this? And
it's different for every every subreddit, and there's no consistency. You have to learn it for each one. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same thing. How did you get over when you first started your project? Starting these like social media profiles and stuff can be kind of discouraging, because you start from zero, of course. How'd you get over that hump of discouragement, kind of?
Man, my hand is on the eject cord or whatever right now for some of these websites, because I did it a while ago just to like, I like Pinterest as a website. It's cool. There's a lot of cool reference images. I pin stuff sometimes for like mood boards and stuff. I started that channel or that profile on Pinterest years ago, and I think I have like 4 followers, and one of them is my ex-wife. So it's like,
I saw somebody in your comments said they found it on there.
Oh yeah, I went there. I was just about to delete it, and like I went back in there, and suddenly I'm getting all these comments and private messages and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe there's something here. That, or like they introduce a new AI, like fake AI interaction thing to keep me on there, and it's just fake AI people talking to me. But I think, like, I don't know, someone in Serbia or something shared it, and now there's a bunch of like Eastern European people commenting in there, and like, what game is this? Or like, how'd you get the style and stuff?
That's cool.
I had to like use Google Translate. So to be honest though, a lot of these things were people in the community on Discord asking for it. Like, even Discord itself was like, people on Twitter like, do you have a Discord? Do you have a Discord? So I eventually got a Discord. And other people like, do you have a Reddit? You should get a Reddit. So I got a Reddit. Just when people ask for it, I put it there. People obviously, they wanted to switch to Blue Sky when Twitter like kind of started going downhill. That's kind of what introduced that. I'm always very apprehensive to start a new social media thing though, because it's just extra work. I got to make a banner image, new icon. Yeah. It's like, it's too much work. Yeah. It just feels like another job. So I kind of waited on Blue Sky for a while. I waited on Threads just to see if it even stuck around, you know?
Yeah.
And unfortunately it stuck around, so I have a Threads now. Whatever. So that's how those things are to be.
They're practically the same at this point. I mean, the logo is they're right next to each other in
Yeah.
in a folder in my phone, and they look indistinguishable from each other now. And when you click on them, it's the
Yeah.
same layout basically. So yeah.
Yeah. I I think they're just it's discouraging because they're copying like even Blue Sky. You're like, oh, a new thing, bluer skies, but it's just Twitter again.
Yeah.
And I was like really hoping like, are they going to do something that's like creator centric, like something that doesn't encourage people to post every day, something that doesn't discourage people from posting once a month, something that like builds a profile for artists that they don't have to keep post. Like I post the same shit every like sometimes I go through a recycle like a some of the stuff you see is stuff that I've already posted like months ago. And I need to do that because that's the format. Why isn't there a social media site that just kind of bumps older stuff on its own? Like, why is it doing work for me? We have all this AI technology. It should be, I shouldn't have to tag my posts anymore. That's such a pain. Why am I hashtagging? Why am I coding on social media?
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm doing code.
Well, I will say,
like the website should do all this stuff for me. It's crazy.
If you decided to pick up a profile on TikTok, which I know I'm telling you, I'm adding more work to your plate potentially with that.
Well, you're not the first to. No, I'm considering it.
It is the only platform I feel like I've used that has that kind of bumping older content kind of vibe to it. Because I still get likes, notifications, and comments from videos from 2 years ago that people are stumbling onto in their algorithm. So it's a consideration.
No, I've been considering it. I think what put a little stopper in that was they were like threatening to like block it in the United States for a little bit there for some reason. I don't remember.
And then the same.
And I was like, okay, I won't even bother. But considering that recommendation, considering I guess apparently there's already a little following over there for me, I might as well do that and just see what it's like.
Are you the original designer of every aspect of Love and Eternity? Do you like? I'm thinking specifically of that skeleton creature that you encounter in the catacombs.
I don't actually use Blender. I use Maya, and that's just because I learned on Maya, and I already had a license, like a perpetual license. So I use this old version of Maya. Okay. All the software I use should be a skeleton as well, so it's like very thematic. So I use this old version of Maya for everything. That's all stuff that just I think I just hatched an idea and just went for it, and the way I develop is very like kind of scrapbooky. So I'll just kind of make a interesting figure in 3D, and then I'll do a mix match of like flipping back and forth between compositing a texture out of photo textures, which is what I primarily use for the game. It's photo textures. I'll stitch them all together in Photoshop, and then I'll check it out on the model, then I'll move stuff around. So I go back and forth. And so, for example, the big skeleton guy, he wears a bunch of skeletons on his cloak or whatever. And he's kind of got him in like as if his chest is a cage, and that's just a very like gothic Dark Souls kind of imagery anyway. Yeah, just throwing skeletons at stuff. So I went with that, and I just kept adding. I was like, I already have these skeletons. I might as well just stick a bunch to them. So it kind of developed in an organic way like that. Nothing was concepted. A lot of it was Pinterest, like scrapbooking ideas in Pinterest and pulling from that as I worked. That's how I do it. I go back and forth between Photoshop and Maya. And just kind of scrap this stuff together.
Even that creature was a good example of subverting expectations within the game, because as soon as I saw it kind of skulking around that corner, I was like, that's not a good thing. Like, that's not a friendly entity. And then it ends up being polite to you and kind. I do like that kind of.
I wanted that. I'm glad that came through. I definitely wanted that, like, that bit of unexpected twist to the character. Right. There's not a whole lot that is really harmful in the game. There's some enemies that can attack you, but like, I just like that something looks threatening. We're trained through games to think things that are creepy are the enemy. And so it is fun to play with that a little bit. I even had a little bit of there's a back and forth with the voice actors on what voice to do, because they had an idea of what they imagined the character sounded like. They couldn't kind of move away from Crypt Keeper voice. Okay. And I was like, I was actually thinking like Jude Law narration from A Series of Unfortunate Events, like kind of a gentle, kind. I always love that narration. I imagine that kind of over a trailer, which I do incorporate his voice acting into the trailer. Okay. And so the voice actor did a great job coming up with that, just that gentle, soothing narrator voice. And it was perfect, and I loved it. And I love that. I just like the duality, or the juxtaposition between this creaky skeleton with this like macabre smile,
right.
but he's just a gentle guy who wants to transmit a message to you and just give you a little thumbs up on your way out the door before you start your adventure. So
yeah,
it's more endearing as well. So you're not just stuck in the room with this like little creeper voice guy.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that caught on. I'm glad people picked up on that, because that is definitely very intentional to have that kind of interest there.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that kind of, because you can tell in the project that there was never a point where you said, that's good enough. You had these clever ideas of like, I'm going to refine this and make this something where every moment is a unique moment, not just something that falls into cliche.
Yeah, that's definitely something that comes with, like, it's true. I was very very perfectionist. And that comes with, like, when you're burning your savings to work on a game, like, I had free time. I was just working on the game, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so I got particular about stuff. I got like nitty gritty about details, and when I was developing the assets, I had all that free time. So it kind of shows in that way. And even when it got to the voice acting stuff, I honestly, though, I didn't have a lot of critique with the voice acting. You know, it was amazing. They just did such a great job right out the gate.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of me authoring things. I kind of was a little more particular about maybe what they said in particular, what the emphasis was here and there, but they just ran with it, and it was just amazing. I think voice actors are incredible. Like, it adds the character. It just puts character in this lifeless thing, you know. It puts a real, like, organic feel to stuff. Yeah.
Right.
And
you
they just
can
did such
imagine
a great
that
job. I was just so impressed.
part of voice acting is deeply understanding the project that the person is trying to put together, so that you can convey that. And I feel that a lot.
I think
from the voice
they got
actors.
it for sure.
Yeah, because they have that kind of subtle, almost, especially in that first scene where he approaches her and starts to hold her, and they have this moment of light communication between each other that's understated in a way that has emphasis, if that makes sense. It's
very
quiet.
much like just the I think it's a very Last of Us kind of reality check.
Yes.
Like, in games, we're used to things like saying no when they get shot in the head and falling over, like, you know, screaming, yelling, or like when something's scary, they project, very dramatic, very like stage and screen kind of way. Exactly. Whereas, like, in The Last of Us, there's a scene like that in the very beginning. He's like holding his dying daughter. Right. And the performance isn't screaming, yelling, "Oh heavens!" You know, it's very much like
gut wrenching.
It's like, it's gut wrenching. It's intimate. It's almost like kind of perverted to watch. Mm-hmm. You feel like voyeuristic watching. It feels wrong to see it. And there's definitely a lot of that kind of not blood, because I'm not related to those developers at all, but like that inspiration kind of in that moment where they're talking to each other, and it's whispering, and it's frantic, and like it's intimate, and it's not romantic necessarily. It's very like human. Yes. And so I wanted that. I don't know. It just feels more. It feels more right. It's definitely a tough scene whenever anyone's dying. I don't know, it's tough to, like. I can't speak to that. I haven't held anyone while they're dying. Thankfully, I don't have that experience, and I don't want to speak to anyone who has had that experience. So it is kind of a tight rope walk. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I think it's more respectful,
because I want that moment to happen, but I don't want to speak to it necessarily. I know you got to be sensitive about it anyway. So
yeah, I think it's more respectful to do it in that kind of reverent and a non-performative way. It gives you more depth to the characters and adds believability to who they are.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about things in the environment, like you were kind of talking about spooky things. One of the things that really got to me when I was playing your game, I walked up to a point, I think it's a corpse that is sitting somewhere. And then something in my peripheral shifted. And I didn't know what it was until I went back and looked at it. And it was this insane looking spider hanging out of a crevice, watching you. And it's massive. And this idea that I walked up to that within these graphics and did not know that I was within inches of a giant hulking beast that decided to be like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah.
That really, that was a good moment. That was a great
Cool.
gut.
I'm glad you
Just
had
like,
that moment.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people walked by that. A lot of people don't notice, or it even plays out, and they just don't notice. Like, oh, a weird sound, and they continue.
yeah,
Especially like when, in particular, streamers, YouTubers, they're playing with eyes on them, so they'll sometimes beeline stuff, or
yes,
they won't be focusing 100%. And it's hard to focus on your audience and the game at the same time. So, a lot of what I do see when people do play it is them blazing through these set pieces that I set up. The game doesn't have any friction, so you can do that, which is bad on me. But it's awesome that you got to see that because that was what it was for.
Are you designing the game with streaming in mind, so that they have those little
Not
moments?
at all. No.
Okay, okay. I mean, it's
No, no,
it's
no.
going to be a great game. That spider moment is is one that I can see that people would be like screaming at the
Yeah.
streamer of like, oh my god, you didn't even see that. Like,
What was that?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, games came before streaming. Streaming is a product of games. I said that. Is that true though? Because I think people were streaming other things before games. Is that true though? I don't know. I feel like one is from the other, and so making a game for streaming is a discipline of a different color.
sure,
Whereas like, I mean, the game is already designed. I'm not going to be changing anything, so it is what it is now, for better or for worse. So,
right.
no, streaming wasn't a thing that I was picturing. People will stream it, I imagine, and people have played it on YouTube for YouTube audiences and stuff. So those moments, like I call them set pieces, and I like those are all the like the big budget things that happen in the game, and there's very few of them because the game is very low budget. But those are like specific, bespoke little jump scares or like little scary moments that happen that are like unique,
Right.
where it's not like the enemy that I'm copying pasting happening throughout the level, like running after you, because that's easy. It's like a
Sure.
unique, bespoke thing that happens that I want like to surprise the player. I have so few of them. I wanted to have a lot more, but I've got so few of those little moments. It's just a little unfortunate. So those are going to happen anyway, streaming or not. That's I think part of the horror element of any game is having surprises in it. Like you need to be
Sure.
doing
Yeah.
things that's unexpected, or they get bored. And so I
Yeah.
want to have more of them, but I don't really have the time to just animate a bunch of unique things happening.
Yeah. I think them
anyway,
being kind
yeah,
of
that's,
spread out adds a weight to them. If you were constantly
Yeah,
running into
that's
things,
good.
you might be like, eh. But when you
Yeah.
aren't expecting at all for this giant spider to be sitting and watching you like that, yeah,
Yeah.
it really hits you.
That moment in particular is very like I love the movie Signs, and I love the idea of like we remember that scene. Like there's a scene, happens to be in Brazil, where there's like a birthday party, and of course the thing moves out from behind the bush, but like it was always there in the shot. Before it moved, we didn't realize it was there, you know, like we see its
Right.
leg or whatever if we watch back. The idea of something that's just always been there watching you and you just notice and it's too close is like a really
Yes.
cool thing. And I try to work those into other parts of the game. Like I have kind of an alien adjacent creature, like a dark spirit that like it watches you in other levels.
Okay.
And it's just the pixelation obscures it enough to where like that could be a tree, whatever. I'm going to keep walking. And you realize, no, it's something that's been watching me this whole time.
Yeah.
Signs also has that scene where like, you know, there's a monster outside my window. Can I have a glass of water? Do you remember that scene where he
Yes. Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? And he looks out the window and there's a guy on the roof out there. Just, he's always been there and you just barely see it through the dark. And it's just like, those moments give me chills. I love those moments. I wanted
Yeah.
to work in as many of those types of things in the game as I could. And that was like principle for the art direction as well, where it's very lo-fi. And so you can barely just make stuff out.
Yeah.
Especially with the pixel shader on and stuff. So it was pretty formulative for the game design, having those moments in there.
Yeah. I think you're hitting that right on, like the nail on the head with that. I encountered after that moment with the spider. I mean, it leaves a player with this lingering feeling of, if I didn't see the spider, there are other things I'm probably not seeing.
Oh yeah.
And I caught some of that with with your devlogs, where I saw that you had put these figures, these silhouettes up in the background, kind of watching down on you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love those kind of little details of, if you don't stop and analyze every piece of your surrounding, you would miss it. It just builds that kind of replay value.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go through and add more. There's definitely like a lot I can do with those. I've prefabricated like scripted events and stuff, like the Dark Spirit things I was talking about that I can just stick in levels in different places, and other little things here and there that I can add. So hopefully that has a nice drip feed throughout the game, because it is generally, I have to say, boring. I don't know what other word it is. It's kind of like a low key game, like you just kind of walking through it. It's what do you call it? It's like meditative, I guess. Like you do
Okay.
a lot of walking, and that can be boring for a lot of people. So I need to drip feed these like special set pieces throughout. So that's something that I'm going to be going back and adding once all the content is finished. Is just more little moments like that, just keeping it like you're always being watched. That was always kind of like an intention there.
Yeah.
You like there's a crow that is always present, kind of watching you, and it kind of tracks your movement with its head. That I try to work into the levels too, and that's supposed to be a character that you encounter later in the game, but in a crow form. So like you're being
Okay.
watched the whole time. And you're like, oh, that was them watching me the whole time. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What's something that you've been building for the game that isn't in a demo that people haven't seen that you're excited about? If you don't mind sharing it, of course.
Um, I guess what's not really in the demo is just the variety of the areas. Like that's one big thing I love about any game that I really like, or any movie that I really like. When you think back, there's a bunch of different colors and stuff, and a bunch of different areas and cultures and vibe and like music and different, stuff like that. So in this game, I wanted to have that diversity. I wanted like each area to be distinct and different colors and all that sort of thing. What I'm excited about is just when you go, the next area is the swamp, and it's just a complete flip from what you're used to. It's not a gloomy, like blue, kind of dark blue forest. It's now this like bright red sky. It looks like what's that Elden Ring area where there's like zombies walking around? I won't remember it now. It's been too long. But it's
I
that
wouldn't.
big
I wouldn't be
red
able to name
sky,
it. But yes, yeah, I do think
It's
I know
very
what
like
you're talking about.
it's very similar to that look. So it's very different. And then there's another area that's even different from that area next. So just the variety that you'll get when you play through, you'll get a lot of different sights and sounds and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So that's what is most time consuming, is putting all these different levels together. And so that's something I'm working on. Later, there's like even a castle town. Like you'll get to walk around this little castle town. I think I've shared some stuff with that, which is another like total switch from the forest. It's very different. And then so on and so forth. There's a few other areas that are quite different from each other that are before the game's over, you'll get to walk through. So
Okay.
that, and also I just did this thing. I'm excited about it. I optimized the game so it runs really, really well.
Okay.
And so I haven't updated the demo with it yet. So unfortunately, like the people's first impression is going to be like, maybe it'll be a little laggy or not really work. But since then, I've been doing a lot of tweaks, and I optimized it. It runs really well. And I also changed around a bunch of different things. So like little things like that, I'm excited for people to experience whenever I get around to updating the demo.
Okay.
So
Good.
yeah,
That
that's the
sounds.
boring
Yeah.
developer thing that I'm excited about.
I will tell you, I didn't notice any kind of like lagging or anything when I was playing the demo. But yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of the update looks like. Do you feel like you have a playtime length in your head that you're aiming for?
I don't know what it'll be. It'll be what it'll be. I think it's probably going to be like around 4 hours,
Okay.
but I'm not really sure. I haven't played through it like just a cold playthrough. I kind of just play through to test parts of it.
Sure.
So I imagine each area will be like 25, 30 minutes each, and there's like 5 areas or something like that. So I don't know. 2 hours, like I'd like it to be longer than 2 hours, which I imagine it'll be quite easily. So probably around 4-5 hours.
Okay.
If you're going to run through it though, you probably do it pretty quick.
Which
There's not a
that
lot
kind
of friction,
game,
like I said, not a lot of pushback.
yeah. I mean, that kind of game is something that you are looking for a specific vibe when you hit that, and it scratches a very specific itch. So yeah, I mean, I think that people will be coming after their first playthrough will be coming back to it because they just want that dark fantasy, that gritty,
Yeah.
like you said, VHS retro PS1 PS2 kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it.
That's like, I don't mind walking around. In fact, I do the RP walk in a lot of games. I just kind of soak it in and walk around at a slow pace. And that's kind of like what I wanted to happen. is just people to just kind of plot through it and just look at little corners. Oh, that's a cool detail, this and that. So I kind of packed it with as many details as I could just to make it interesting to walk through. Not a play style that everyone has, so I understand that. But yeah, I imagine if someone is into that vibe, they'll get a good runtime out of it. Like they'll have plenty to experience in walking through and just kind of soaking in the sights and the sounds and stuff. So,
Well,
it'll be nice for some people, I think.
there are people on TikTok who are saying that they need it injected directly into their veins. So I think
Cool.
I think this project.
Well, I know a guy.
Yeah. This is going to take off. It was genuinely
He works behind the Dunkin' Donuts.
It was an honor to be able to speak to you. I really appreciate you coming on and being willing to talk. This is the first interview that I'm officially doing as part of New Friend Plus, which I went to school for journalism and have kind of done some of that in the meantime, but not with the channel specifically. So trying to get into that a little bit.
Awesome. I'm honored.
Yeah, just kind of bring more people to cool projects. So thank you so much for being
excellent.
Our number one.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was great chatting with you.
Cool. All right, friends. Well, this has been Winston Powell, otherwise known as Solo Dev AcornBringer. You can find a demo of Love and Eternity. Let me say that again, of Love and Eternity on AcornBringer's itch.io page and on Steam. You can also find in-depth looks at his process, as well as a direct line to the developer himself on the AcornBringer Patreon page. And that's patreon.com/AcornBringer. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was awesome. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching.